What this footage doesn't tell us is how long the woman had been trapped, how long she cried for help. She's alive, though. Her bracelet and manicure suggest that life had been relatively normal before the missiles hit. Ukraine's Air Force reports that 9 missiles and 206 drones were launched by Russia overnight. But these people aren't thinking about numbers and weaponry. They've precious possessions to salvage, windows to repair, and terror to dilute.
When the drones started buzzing closer and closer, and finally when the sound was right over our house, we took our dog and cats and hid behind the wall in the corridor. We sat down on the floor, and then it hit.
The Russian Defense Ministry says its forces struck Ukrainian military targets, like ammunition depots and drone assembly workshops. No mention of these residential blocks. At least 3 people have been killed and 22 injured.
It was a horrible morning in Kharkiv, which was hit by 48 Russian attack drones, 4 guided bombs and 2 missiles. Civilian infrastructure and residential buildings were hit.
Yesterday, Russia launched a large-scale aerial attack upon multiple territories. 6 people were killed and 80 injured. Members of the Ukrainian national athletics team were in a hotel in Lutsk. This time last week, Ukraine was secretly planning to launch Operation Spiderweb, and they did the next day. At least 40 Russian aircraft were struck by Ukrainian drones in a stealth attack planned over 18 months. Whilst the US has pushed for peace talks between the 2 countries, President Donald Trump's language last night wasn't particularly diplomatic.
They gave Putin a reason to go in and bomb the hell out of him last night. And when I saw it, I said, here we go. Now it's going to be a strike.
The solemn order of Monday's peace talks in Turkey has deteriorated into a flurry of accusations just 5 days later. The 2 countries agreed a deal to swap more prisoners of war today, but Russia has accused Ukraine of postponing the swap last minute, and Ukraine says Russia is playing dirty games. Kharkiv is in crisis mode today. Whilst some are brought to safety, others are missing, and the search itself comes with great risk.
Well, earlier I spoke to the Ukrainian MP Maria Metsentseva, who represents Kharkiv. I began by asking her whether she thought this attack was Russia's direct response to the strikes on its warplanes last week, or if Ukraine could expect more to come.
Well, the bad thing is that Russian aggressor is unpredictable. We have learned their signatures, and the signatures are usually them targeting mainly civilians. So, if they can't usually progress at the battlefield, they attack us on the ground in peaceful cities, towns, and regions. I wouldn't call it sort of a direct answer because, we can't measure it.
You're not getting enough air defenses, are you, from the Americans at the moment?
It would be great to have more. We have had an agreement with the U.S. partners to have more of Patriot. They are producing them. Sometimes it was Canadians, sometimes Europeans who paid for it. It's 9 months to wait for one item. Of course, UK is taking big part in this process, but we are really talking about around 20 machines, and the queue is long.
And are the Europeans filling the gap that has been left by the Trump administration?
I think you do. I think you definitely do. You are our closest allies. And what is really important, finally, we persuaded our European partners and wider partners that it's much cheaper, more effective and faster to invest in the production in Ukraine. And I think this is going to be our good deal in the future.
And the extraordinary drone attack that was 18 months in the planning that was launched a week ago, that took out all those, very important Russian targets. Was that more of a morale boost for you at home, or did it actually have a strategic military result that you can benefit from?
It served both of these purposes. I think those who are good in military details, they understand that this type of jets, these are those which are bringing bombs on the heads of our children, elderly, disabled people, those who can't run away immediately.
And Maria, briefly, it looks as if President Trump is losing interest in a ceasefire and ending the war because he's realized it's not that easy to do. Do you welcome his loss of interest, or would you like him to get more engaged, even if it means talking more to the Russians?
I think President Trump finally realized that Russians are just tricking him. President Trump called a Russian delegation recently to have realistic demands during the negotiations. We can start with bringing back illegally deported children, or exchanging prisoners of war, bringing back civilians from captivity. That's an easy done task. Russia is not progressing much on that. I think he's still committed to a faster version of this process, but we all understand that Russia is just using it as regrouping their army and target us yet again. So we have to be smart. We have to learn from the mistakes. We had 26 rounds of ceasefire since 2014 until 2022, which failed. So I think this is an extraordinary diplomacy and something that the books can't tell us, how to go step by step. So we have to be quite intelligent here.
Right. Let's leave it there. Maria Metsentseva, thank you very much indeed.